Have you ever heard the expression, everything is political? It's a fascist principle when you think about it. What it means is that you don't have privacy anymore. There is no difference between your private life and your public life. They're both political. And what political means is that it's a struggle for power. So your private life is a struggle for power. Other people want power over your private life. So your entertainment is not just your entertainment now. Your entertainment is a means for political ideologues to push their ideology towards you. Football is now a vector for indoctrination. And what I mean by this is if you look at what's happened in the UK and with European football this year, a lot of football players decided to take a knee in order to show support for Black Lives Matter. Now, they're not showing support for the people in Cuba fighting against communism. They're not showing support for the people in Hong Kong that fought for their liberty. They're not showing support for the Uyghurs in China. They're very picky and choosy. They're not showing support for the Ukrainians in Donetsk. They're not showing support for the people in North Korea. No, they're very picky and choosy because they are choosing the side of profit. They are choosing the side of what's marketable and what's trendy and what's fashionable. They don't give a flying fuck. They're just doing it because they know it will get them fame, publicity, money, and there's no backlash. This is why back in the day, people in the English football team did the Nazi salute. For the same reason. They didn't expect a backlash. They thought that it's trendy at the time, so they did it. In the future, they might do something else. I don't know. But you should be very skeptical when you see people whose entire life moves around being popular doing something. They're not doing something because they want to change the world. They're doing something because they want to be viewed as popular, and thus they want to make more money. But by doing so, it now created division. Now people who enjoy football are into two camps. Instead of discussing whether or not Manchester United is better than Liverpool, they're talking about whether players should be able to take a knee or not. That is the main conversation. And with this conversation is a very good opportunity for the politicians and the activists to inject their ideology using football as a vector. You see, now you need to understand, you fucking bigot, that the reason you have a football team is because of immigration. So if you're going to vote a party that wants to limit immigration, like if you want to vote conservative, then what you end up having is no football team. So if you care about football, you need to vote progressive politicians. Right? Do you see how it works? That's pretty much how it works. Completely ridiculous argument. The main problem with this is that now you have the critical racist theorists which are trying to create a racial awakening using football. Right? Like diversity is our strength. Without diversity, our team will lose. So racial awakening is the opposite of color blindness. Color blindness means that you don't care if an American is from Illinois or he's from Texas, he's still an American. Now that doesn't mean that you are ignorant of the fact that they are from Texas. Or you're ignorant on the fact that because they're from Texas, they might have like some different culture than a person from California. No, what it means is that the person's origin isn't really that important. It's the universal identity that's important. And in this case, when we're talking about football, it's important that they're all part of the English team. But that's not good enough. We need to have like what the critical racists want, the racial awakening. So now you need to discriminate between English football players that are white and English football players that are black. And you need to understand that the people of color within the English football team are the ones that are actually carrying the whole team. Without them, the team would lose. So with the racial awakening manifested, reality came in, and it showed that during the penalty, this happened. Now, without the racial awakening in a colorblind world, you would say, well, you know, it happens. I mean, it's bad luck. You win some, you lose some. Maybe the manager is at fault for selecting those particular players that are too young. Maybe they should have selected someone with more experience. There's a different conversation. But now, because of the racial awakening, a lot of people are noticing the problem. Because when you see things, you see the negative and the positive. You don't just see the positive like a leftist. You see everything, right? It's the same thing that happened when Bernie Sanders told Americans to look at Venezuela for an example of great communism. And people looked at Venezuela, they were horrified. And then the same camp from Bernie Sanders were telling people to stop looking at Venezuela and stop giving it as an example. But I'm going to tell you what led up to the N-word trending on Twitter, which is fascinating to me because I thought that Twitter is a very censorious place. They don't allow hatred on the platform. They have an entire staff to police hate speech and make people safe. And yet the N-word is trending on Twitter. Maybe it's to show the political activists in the UK that there is more work to be done. Even though it's their work which is causing this shit. Like we see here in this picture, Italy didn't deserve to win. Not after the dirty game they played. And the action of the racist ass who didn't even get a red card. I'm actually gutted for the England squad. Yes, because clearly, never in the history of football have we seen a fall. Have we seen a player playing dirty? This never happens in the history of football, ever, right? But because, I guess, England is so proud of their diverse team, there is now an international conspiracy that Italy is part of, in order to make the people of color within the England team look bad, right? Is this what it is? Is this what it is? Is it like, why is Twitter not putting a check mark for misinformation here? Like, this lady is pushing conspiracy theories. It's so bizarre, right? Like, the water down of the word racism. I'm pretty sure, like, this player has probably played dirty in other matches. Like, he probably would have done the same if it was a white person. Like, he wouldn't discriminate, right? Like, he wants to win. That's how he is playing. He wants to win. Now, he is playing dirty. I agree. It's not okay what he is doing. That's another conversation. But I don't think it's racism. I don't see racism here. But, like, if you're a critical racist theorist, you see a white person hampering a black guy, clearly racism. It's automatic. And now you get people that literally aren't interested in football, and they admit that they're not interested in football, getting into the politics of football. Because the game is not important anymore. The game is somewhere in the background. The politics are front and center. Everyone needs to talk about politics every time, all the time. There is no escaping it. Everything is political. So you have this gentleman that says that he doesn't care about football, but to him it seems that the person in charge sent the black people to do the kickoff because either he expected them to win, so now it's like racist because like all the burden on winning is on the diversity, or he expected them to be a target for abuse. So there's no winning, right? Like, this is what critical race theory does to people. It doesn't ask, is something racist, but like, how is something racist? You send black people in there, well, you expect like all of the burden to be on their shoulders, so you're a racist. You expect black people to stand back, well, you're now discriminating against them because you're not sending them there. No, you can't win. Like, literally, they will just make the argument to show how a situation causes racism. They will never just analyze a situation from an analytical standpoint because the word has been watered down so much that it doesn't even require intent anymore. The question is, like, is something disadvantaging a person of color, and you need to point it out how it does it. Right? In order to cause controversy, in order to cause division, in order to get people to talk about anything else other than the game. And by the way, like, it's quite interesting because if the team wins, like it happened with France, then you get Trevor Noah saying, oh, Africa won the World Cup. Even though none of the football players ever identified as anything else but French in any interview. Even though the French diplomat told Trevor Noah, hey, like, that's a little bit racist what you're saying there. No, it doesn't matter, right? No, like, Africa won the World Cup is what Trevor Noah went with. Like, this emboldens the racists because then they say, well, okay, like, how, if that's the case, you're saying that the French team can't compete anymore. Because that's not the French team, according to Trevor Noah, that's the African team. So how do we as French get our own football team to be able to compete, right? Like, do you see what you're doing? You're causing division, you're causing hatred, and you're causing bigotry with claiming to actually do anti-racism. You know, just because something has in the name anti-racism doesn't mean it actually does what it says it does. Just because something has in the name alternative medicine doesn't actually mean it's good medicine. But it's in the name. And then you also have like the people that are pushing hysteria, like blatant hysteria, saying that the people who are black in the UK, they need to watch out, right? Why? What do you think happens? What do you think happens? Like, okay, they lost the match. But then you need to stay indoors. You need to be careful now. Woo! You know, it reminds me when the movie The Joker was released, and all of the progressives were like, "Ooh, it's going to get people crazy." Ooh, and nothing happens. But like the hysteria is great in order to keep people hysterical and glued to the television to see what's happening next. What's happening next? And by the way, like, you're the ones that did this shit. Okay, you're the ones that advocated for a racial awakening. Fuck me. And then it goes into more bizarre things. Like, apparently what the conservative MP was saying is controversial. He's saying that they lost. Would it be ingenuous to suggest that Rashford should have spent more time protecting the game and less time playing politics? How is this a bad take? How the hell is this a bad take? The purpose of football is to win, right? That is the purpose, is to get your team to win. But no, like, the purpose of football now is to have the politics. So as long as you have the politics, even if you lost, you're still a winner. So now, like, the my God, like, the way the narrative is going, right, is because the activists created the racial awakening. You get some racists on Twitter, which aren't even a majority of the population, let's be honest. Probably less than even 5%. And because they're getting the N-word to be trending, the poor millionaires, the poor football players that are actually millionaires, and they have like the biggest social reach ever, okay, they're now in danger. Because they might open Twitter, I guess. So now they're victims. Like, this is the ideology of the rich victim. Like, this is woke capitalism. It's the whole purpose of making wealthy people in power act like a victim and be perceived like a victim. Opera is a victim. Okay? Literal royalties are victims. This is an ideology created to justify the excesses of capitalism. It's the ideology created to justify the excesses of Wall Street. To make it so that Wall Street, which is oppressive towards people, the 1% which oppresses people, can now be a victim. So you don't want to attack a victim, right? Like, just ignore them. Just give them... Now, I'm not saying the ideology was created in order to victimize football players. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is to protect the incompetent managers and the people incompetent from criticism. Because now you can't criticize. So they're heroes even when they lost. So even if you have a losing team, it's like, oh, this represents England now. What, the nation of losers? Is this what represents them? No, like, the correct mentality should have been, oh, we lost this time. Let's try again next year. Let's try again the next cup. Let's do better. But you can't do better if you already won. Like, they already achieved the goal, right? Like, they already managed to accomplish. So now the cope comes in. And the cope is like, no, you did nothing wrong. Everything is great. You know, it's the racists that are to blame. And what, did the racists miss the penalties? But, like, what I'm trying to say that this is the ideology applied to a football game, right? But this ideology wants to be applied everywhere. Like, this mentality should be applied everywhere. Holy shit if this gets into the military. Can you imagine that? It's like, well, yeah, but our military is diverse. Yeah, but you lost the battle. Yeah, but like, I don't care. The enemy fought dirty. The motherfucker, like, do something. You know? Like, what about the plane? You know, someone that flies a plane and ends up crashing it? It's like, yeah, but the pilot was diverse. I don't care. Like, they didn't land the plane. No, you should shut up. It's the racist to blame. And unfortunately, like, this what I'm seeing here is being applied almost in every entertainment avenue that we have. It's being applied in politics. In the US, it's even being applied in the military. Just look at the woke CIA ad. Or the woke military ad and whatnot. They want to create this racial awakening. And you see it in a microcosmos here. Like, this is exactly what will happen. You're going to get, like, some people, like that lady, which now perceives racism to be literally everything that inconveniences a person of color. And then you're going to get the actual racists that get the N-word to be trending on Twitter because they have been awakened. And there's more work to be done. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you in the comment section. Take care.